streaming. I'm ready to
Well,
sync it up. We don't need to do our intro again because we already did that.
well, if it's streaming and you can't hear me, then what?
I think that I can hear you on stream.
I don't think so.
Well, I
I
wasn't
gotta.
streaming it before.
Oh, yep, there it is.
I was gonna say I wasn't streaming.
There I
Just
am.
the call recorder was.
There I am.
And do you have a call recorder?
Yeah, I do, but I don't use it.
Not recording right now.
No, I'm just gonna use my thing I use to record, Reaper.
All right.
All right, let me start recording. I used to use Call Recorder though when I would do interviews, so it's a great program, great app. I haven't paid for it.
Yep, me too. I'll pay for
it. No, me neither.
All right. Let's sync this up. 1,
2.
Okay. All right. So let's get into some feedback from last episode before we talk about this episode, which obviously we have a lot to discuss with this episode, right, Dan?
Absolutely.
First things first. Got an email from, maybe you've heard of her, listener of the show for a while, named Shakita.
I've heard of Shakita.
And said, I'm not sure if you guys noticed, but Eugene was actually recording his conversation with Dwight when they were on the roof.
Now, see, I heard that.
Yeah, me too.
Potentially a rumor, but at this point, it doesn't matter.
Yes. If you look at that scene again, Dwight has a gun to Eugene's head, and when Eugene turns around, you can see the record button is pressed down. Eugene is making a log of his thoughts or actions or whatever, but he never turned the tape recorder off, so Eugene's tops is actually a recording of Dwight's betrayal and backstabbery.
Mm-hmm.
Which means nothing now.
No.
Because I was like, oh, I'll be ready to discuss this because other people then tweeted us about it too. So several people talked to us about it.
Right. But it would have been great. And that would have been a very intense scene. The Negan, Eugene, Dwight scene, the way he sort of blew his cover. I mean, the entire episode was about, Negan wrecking shop. But yeah, I was a little disappointed that that's how it all went down.
And now what? It's going to, well, I guess, look, all the people that was there when Dwight betrayed them all got killed.
Right.
So there might not be like some confirmation that Dwight joined them. If anything, they might think that Dwight is dead or been taken hostage.
The girl got away.
No, she got killed.
I don't think so. I think the girl with the tattoo on her neck that was sweet on Eugene got away.
She got shot.
She shot Dwight.
To Dwight. Yeah, she shot Dwight and then had the gun to him, and then they came up behind and shot her.
I missed that. I thought she escaped.
Now, I could be making mistakes because the way that the show is edited is...
Who knows?
I mean, guys, I thought Jerry died the first 2 times I watched the show. I watched the episode twice. I thought that Simon killed Jerry.
Oh, you mean Neil? Fan favorite Neil?
Yeah, when Neil
was... You didn't realize Neil died? That was the worst goddamn thing I've ever seen. It was so poorly edited. I was so confused.
He said, I got this, and just shot toward the camera. We don't know what perspective the camera's coming from.
Right.
And we don't see Jerry again the rest of the episode, right? As far as I know. Right. Maybe I missed it.
No, I think maybe he's hiding back there. And why not? He would have shot Jesus or something. Why would he have shot through the car amazingly, killed that guy? Like the entire thing was just, we're getting ahead of ourselves, Dylan.
Okay. All right.
Pull it back.
So, okay, so let's talk about some things first, because this episode was even disliked from the fan base even more than I disliked.
Yeah.
If you look at the Reddit, it's a wasteland of... They had to make their own mega thread about Scott Gimple.
Oh, wow.
Basically a negative one. We did get an email from someone named Corey. I want to go over and kind of discuss some of this too, because obviously this show has taken a change. The podcast itself has taken a change over the past this season. And I wanted to kind of discuss some of the things as far as that goes. So I'll read this email from Cody, at least some of it. I have to say, after listening to your latest episode, I was saddened to see how little insight you actually had. This is for Dylan and Dan, so It's not just aimed at me; it's for both of us. Might have to add why Daryl might have evolved or devolved into the character he is today. It goes without saying that he's going to be angry and possibly give up on this world when almost everyone he's gotten close to has died or abandoned him. It started with Sophia. Then, as you guys pointed out, how hard he took Beth's death. He was the only one aside from Tara who formed a bond with Denise before she died. Then Carol left. He then had to watch Glenn get his head bashed in with the guilt of it besides, and was locked up like an animal and fed dog food. Obviously, of course, this is gonna be angry and upset. It's logical character development, and arguably no character aside from Maggie has been through more than Daryl, and he's obviously taking it. I think the same happened to two of my favorite podcasters, and definitely my two favorite Walking Dead fans. I used to look forward to your podcast, your insight, and takes on everything every week. It always felt like you guys brought something new to the table, and certainly new to what you could get the most out of the Walking Dead podcast. But much like Daryl, it seems this world is beating you down, and and it shows on Dead Inside. It's been a roller coaster year, both on the show and the podcast, but sometimes it feels like you guys don't bother to actually think a little deeper anymore and ask yourself why, and immediately jump to bashing on the show or character work. It's when really it's sitting right there, especially in the case of Daryl. Anyway, sorry this has turned to me complaining about a show I love. Complaining about a show you once loved, but I miss the Dead Inside, I miss the effort, I miss the insight. Take care, and JSS just survived somehow. Donnie. So I must say that this was a very respectful email, Donnie. Yeah. But I do think that I don't think this is giving us as much credit as we've seen. I think much like you think we have with Daryl, I think you glossed over us really talking about Daryl, and maybe we didn't say everything that happened in his history. But I think it's fair to say that Daryl has lost his spark as a character. And I understand why, and we talked about some of it as to why it happened. And again, I don't think that us talking about everything that happened in the past is important for us discussing how he's lost his spark as a character. Do you agree, Dan?
I agree.
But I think that the way that this season's been for us, look, if this show continued the way we were, at least in the first 2 episodes, I would get it, man. I wouldn't be listening to this. But I think that we have taken it easy, especially after the first 2 episodes. The episodes got better, first of all.
Right.
But there were some things that were inexcusably bad in those first 2 episodes, especially. And I think that we have done as good of a job as possible at least still maintaining some of the conversation. But I understand how, some of the it's hard. It's a hard situation that we're in. That the show isn't as exciting as it used to be, and that seems to be the thought across the board. And this includes our emails and our tweets, and when you read Reddit posts and you read just conversations about it in general, right?
Yeah. I would like to address 2 things here. One, he's right about Daryl, and I think the show has changed too, because those first few seasons, even when it was tough to watch, there was a bit of adventure and swagger and mystery around Daryl. And the show, I think he's exhausted on the show too. I mean, these guys just can't get a break. And now we're here, a season and a half or 2 years of Negan and his reign. And then after this episode where everything comes crumbling down, everything is backwards again. Once again, they're at the Gate of Alexandria shooting bombs into it. It's hard, I think, as a viewer to watch, like, man, our heroes, once again, fucked up. Once again,
right.
They're in the shit. Like, here we are again, where the people that we're rooting for and we want to see do well, they're in trouble again.
And when we feel like we're smarter than them, like we have this, like we're sitting there being like, why are you doing this?
It could be, and you're tired. I'm just tired. Like everybody's tired. Like I want them to get a win. Like I want a win in my own life. Like we want like a win and that's why at least when their plan was working, it kind of felt good again to watch the show because it made me feel happy that the characters that I've been watching for 8 years were back on a bit of a roll. And now once again, like the show beats us up, pushes us back down. And I really, to address what he said about you and I, and we're only human, but he does have a good point where if people are going to spend an hour every week listening to you and I talk about the show, we do deserve to give them the best show we can. So I will say this, moving forward, I will do my best to be more, optimistic
But this
and
is again, this is a
critical.
conversation we had after the first 2 episodes.
Right.
So this is a new conversation. Like we're not only analyzing the show, but we're also analyzing our analyzing of the show, just much like this is. And it's a fair email. And also, again, I do have to say, Cody, I do like if this was a rude email, I would have told you to fuck yourself and not even read the.
No,
read
it was a
the
it was a
solution.
great email.
So it was
Very well
very
put.
nice. But I guess I want to make a call, and I guess full disclosure to the fan base as it is. And this could I don't know, this could sound like a sports owner when he's considering switching towns or whatever. But I guess we're at a crossroads as viewers and as
Mhm.
podcasters, and I think our podcast listeners are also at a crossroads as well, right?
Right.
I think that we're not sure what the future is going to be for the Dead Inside show, and we're not sure what the future is going to be for the show itself, because just like Daryl, I guess Daryl's a great example of all this. We're probably the Daryl of of our podcasting lives with the show, because people, again, listening to a podcast about a show are fans of a show. It's not like people
I know.
want to hear a roast of a show that they're watching every week and they're listening to podcasts on. So
Mhm.
I guess this is a call that we're gonna say to people: email us, deadinsideshow@gmail.com, tweet us at Dead Inside Show. Just get a hold of us however you want. Everybody that's out here and listening, and tell us where you are with this show, with this podcast, and if it should continue. We're
Yeah.
not in an immediate, there's not an immediate, there's not going to be an immediate like this show. We're going to stop doing this podcast. There's no immediate plans for that, but it could happen. And I think that we want to see where our listeners are. A lot of listeners that have tweeted us in, we are getting more tweets than anybody for anything. That
Mhm.
I think this is the last episode we're going to watch. I think this is the last episode we're going to watch on our Twitter account. That's what we're getting more than anything. Our download numbers are the lowest it's been since we started off, and which is still a lot of people, and we appreciate
Right.
those. But the show's viewership is down as well. So I guess we want to hear from as many people as possible about what you want from the show, if you want it to continue, and what you would like to hear from the show. Now, if you don't want us to be honest about how we feel about it, that's not going to happen. But we can still do our best as far as scaling it back and hearing about what you guys want from it. And the best compliment we've gotten, I think, is hearing from people saying, "I'm not watching the show anymore, but I'm still listening to the podcast."
Yeah, that's very cool.
So anyway, deadinsideshow@gmail.com and at Dead Inside Show. Let us know what you want from the future of the Dead Inside Show and where we should be going with the future. And we'll get back into this, because I have to say, Cody, there is going to be some complaints about the episode, but I didn't walk away from the episode pissed off. And it seems like a lot of people did. And I think a lot of people weren't until they got into the internet raging about it, and then they started getting pissed off about it as well. So I think it's sometimes a circle jerk when that happens, right?
It can be, yeah. People are piling on a
Right,
little bit,
right,
but I like I kind of said my spiel about being exhausted. I was a little upset with how it all played out, but either way, at least I know after the next half season, it'll be Negan will be gone or done or something. God damn it! At this point, I sure hope so. We'll see. But yeah, let's get into it.
Episode title is "How It's Gotta Be," which is a line that that Carl says to his dad in one flashback. Because we get throughout the episode, we get these, or in the first third of the episode, we get these cuts about Carl explaining to Rick that new life philosophy, and particularly how you can't just kill all the saviors and what we're fighting for. Basically, a similar conversation Jesus is having with me. I do have to give a shout out to the great performance by Andrew Lincoln, as always.
Of course.
Remember that shot from the season premiere that showed him all close up, all upset?
Yeah.
Now, some people were speculating that could have been after a shot of after Carl's.
Right. Or maybe he has to be the one to put Carl down.
Because we
Mercy.
still got at least another episode with Carl,
Right.
which is kind of weird to think about. Because we're all accepting his death, and then we're gonna wait until February and then get his death.
Which,
Odd way of storytelling.
and quickly to add this too, my wife said, hey, maybe he's not going to die. Or I saw somebody tweeted, hey, maybe this will be one of the people that actually doesn't die. Not to be a spoiler here, but he's going to die. Like
He's gonna
Scott
die.
Gimple said he's dead.
Yep.
Chandler Ross said he's dead. In fact,
Riggs.
Who's Chandler Ross? That's like a Friends
The
mashup
Ross and
between
Rachel of
Chandler, right? No, but I read a funny thing that Chandler's dad
yeah.
was really pissed and was writing on Facebook that, quote, Scott Gimple fired his son like 2 days before his 18th birthday. When, I mean, in the comic, are you allowed to say what his fate is?
Yeah, he's
Or is
still
that too
alive
much
and kicking in the comic, and he has a huge character arc.
He's 100% alive in the graphic novel?
Yep.
What?
Yep. This is shocking for comic. Like, there's a comic.
Whoa.
There's like a comic. After every episode on the Reddit feed, there's a comic reader section, and
Mhm.
there's no positivity in there whatsoever at all.
Wow. And is it a good arc
Yes,
in the graphic novel?
his best arc was yet to happen.
Oh my goodness. So what do you think? I mean, are there political reasons or is he aging out of the character?
We don't
I
know.
would love to know what
There's a
why
see
they
what
would do
happens
that.
is, you know, that time jump that we see with Rick's beard and his different hairstyle that we got in the premiere.
Right? Which Carl is not in, correct?
Right, Carl was not in it, and there was a jump forward in time in the graphic novel that happens, and out of nowhere, Carl goes from being 10-ish or something like that to 13 or 14.
Hmm.
So he completely aged, and he started having, acne and stuff like that, things that happened as from a kid. Now, obviously, Carl's aged along with the show a lot, even though they try to hide his aging as much as possible, but he's almost 18.
Mm-hmm.
So I figured it would be like, oh, the time jump isn't going to have him really much older. They're just going to stop making him look like a kid and have him be older, right?
Hmm.
But
Wow.
no, Carl's not going to be in the show anymore. And the post from Chandler Rick's father I have as our tweet of the week.
Oh, okay. Then go ahead.
I'm going to
save that.
save the whole thing because I will read that entire thing. So talk about that, and we'll kind of talk more about his death after a week.
Okay.
So see, he at the beginning when Rick finds out that the walkers, he goes to investigate with the scavengers. Man, this is weird. Dan, this is so weird. They get shot at out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know who's shooting at them. Whatever. And then he gets separated from the scavengers, and then Carol and Jerry come and save him, and he just leaves the scavengers.
They left him immediately after goddamn 2-3 episodes of drama and baloney.
No, they were running.
Gone.
They were running along, like they were running with him. Then the gunshot separated them, and he got picked up by Carol and Jerry and left.
They didn't separate them. Like, it was almost a joke where he started barking out commands, and they weren't even there to hear him. They
Split up, yeah.
Immediately split. Like, fuck this. We didn't sign up for this. You different from picture.
Different from picture.
And
one of my favorite things I saw on Reddit was Scott Gimple, who's the showrunner. That Scott Gimple is probably the garbage person, as they're called, or a scavenger. It's probably in real life he's actually this scavenger. Or if he was in this world, he would definitely be a scavenger.
Yeah, completely.
Because he's people are not a big fan of him. Anyway, so throughout the episode, Carl's really different. He's sweaty every time we see him. At the beginning, he's writing a letter to his dad and finds a note that says JSS. Survive somehow. It's it was interesting on rewatch. Go back and watch all the signs of him, the limping in some scenes and stuff like that he was bitten the whole time. And the fact that he got bitten with Sadiq, just killing walkers stupidly with no plan when we complained about it. That's the death of his character.
It's
It's a
infuriating.
disappointment. Well, I will say, I was to the point, and we discussed this. I don't know if I'd feel emotional about a lot of characters' deaths,
Hmm.
and I felt emotional. Like I
Yeah.
felt
Well, you
emotional when his thing was revealed and everybody's reaction to it made. Right? I have to give it to a show where I wasn't sure if I cared anymore about certain characters or whatever. I did feel, and I was surprised, especially as a graphic novel.
That's the thing. You're mourning his life of what it would have been because you know what it could have and should have been. I didn't have the exact same thing. I just thought more like, damn, I can't believe that he's going to be off the show because I was never a big time Carl hater. And the kid's been on the show so long and he's gotten better. And even after this episode, ironically, and especially like with Negan, all that interaction, I thought, wow, this is great. Like, this is just some good Carl shit here. I was a little annoyed because, like you said, the irony that he rescued that guy that he wasn't even supposed to, killed walkers that he didn't even need to, and then he had that perfect Halloween makeup bite where somehow the walker bit through his clothes, and the teeth just burrowed into his skin somehow, and he's still alive. Like I don't want to,
Like
me, I'm
when you and I
obsessed
hung out,
with
I tried to bite
timelines.
you like that there in a similar spot, and it didn't
Right.
break through the skin like that.
No, not
I
like
was
I did have
trying so
chainmail
hard.
on.
What
I
did you
did have
say?
I was Kingdom cosplaying when you were at the house because I was
Yeah,
worried about that shit.
yeah. I kept biting the metal. I guess that's the difference. Is he wasn't wearing the um, what's it called? You said the word.
Armor, the Kingdom armor.
Yeah. Yeah. What's it
Mm-hmm.
called? A mail or what's the
Chainmail?
chain mail? That's what. Anyway,
Yeah. Yeah.
um, so Enid and Aaron talk about why, or a plan to talk to Oceanside, and then out of nowhere he's like, "Do you know how to drive?" And she's like, "Yeah, well, sorta, better than Carl anyway."
Right. Making us like Carl
The
a
fuck?
little bit.
So
That was
weird.
completely pointless. There was
Yes.
absolutely no reason that Enid had to drive. And it was absolutely pointless that they had to go get that truck and then to kill the goddamn commander of the entire
And they had to drop
seaside
by a distillery,
to
get something
get
to offer them.
whiskey,
Yeah.
I guess.
Yes.
Yeah, to me, I thought that whole scene was just a way for us to think like, damn, Enid and Carl really could have had something. They really could have done something. I guess Carl's going to die a virgin. Maybe she'll, give him a 1, 2, 3 before he dies.
I don't
Maybe
think so,
she'll
but I'd like to see. If you guys would like to see, tweet us at Dead Inside Show and let us know that.
don't do that. Maybe they'll have sex and she'll get pregnant. And,
Oh,
maybe what if he shoots zombie sperms in her?
nice.
I'm serious. These are the kind of scientific questions that, I'm very interested in.
Nice. Yeah, so anyway, they end up killing the I guess we just can talk about this whole story because they end up killing the grandma and them being seemingly taken hostage. They're not in a good situation. I can't believe she would just shoot like that without knowing. But I guess I would understand. I guess if I was in the situation, I would be scared and anything could happen, right? Like you never know in the dark who you're going to shoot and especially when you're at war with.
I was a little surprised though because Enid is usually very savvy and pretty smart. She's lived on her own. She's eaten raw goddamn turtles. And however, she immediately shot, I think from behind somebody. And the other thing too is
It
why
was oddly
would
edited too. It didn't show her getting shot. It just showed grandma.
it was, and I hate to be a dick like that and complain about the editing, but the show Mr. Robot, which I know you don't watch, it does a job. It does that on purpose. Like the show is supposed to make you feel uncomfortable. This is not that kind of show. The editing should be a little more fluid where we're not confused
Yeah,
on who's doing what.
right.
So anyhow, why the leader of the entire group would be traipsing around in the dark after Intruders 2, whatever. But yeah, and then that scene was over, and then they weren't on again for the entire
Yep.
episode, which was sort of odd.
Because that was an intense moment. I was like, oh shit, they're not gonna be able to make friends with them now. Like, how could they possibly?
Yeah,
And
it was
especially
very
because
intense.
she was the like the grandma was the one that was merciful,
Yes.
or at least one of them.
Hmm.
So Michonne leaves Judith unattended by a body of water.
Oh yes, I thought the exact same thing too. Why would you do that?
Yeah. And then Daryl is optimistic about the plan he had working. Okay, here's the problem. Rick had a plan going, and with little or no communication or centralized decision making, people decided their own plans in the middle of it, and that fucked everything up.
Yeah, that's not how you do things.
I would say, hey, maybe him doing that, driving the truck in there, it seemed to be to let the saviors kill the walkers at least one by one.
And is that what happened? Because correct me if I'm wrong, but
we don't know, Dan.
Why did they do that? Why did they do that? They didn't explain to us what happened.
Oh no, they explained.
What Eugene did.
They explained.
I missed it.
Eugene.
That's all they said. Eugene did it.
Yep.
What does that mean? I'm being serious right now.
No,
they didn't explain.
Dead serious. They didn't explain it. That's a huge thing that undid all the work that had been done all season. Sorry, Cody.
Right.
Just give it a second. I guess. Look, I guess it's may not be important.
No, it was very important.
But to us, it seems like it's very important, and we don't know now if they're purposely not giving us information or if they're putting together the show shitty.
Right. Well,
because there's been situations on both sides.
Right. Right.
So I don't know. I can't tell you if there was a reason for this or if they were just being stupid.
Agreed.
So,
and what did I see? That when they did pull up, there was like a bunch of bodies in sort of like a trench or like a tunnel shape. So I think you're right. Maybe they just were able to pick them off one by one in order to at least get out. And now they can get food, and clearly they're back on top.
All right. Hey, I have to pause our recording for like 6 minutes and call you right back.
You just want me to let it run?
No, stop. We might as well stop it.
Okay.
And sorry if anybody's in the chat. We'll be back in. I'll call you back in 5 minutes.
Yeah, you gotta take a big shit. Go ahead.
No, that's not what it is. But I have to do something before 4.
That's fine. Call me back. Bye bye.
You guys can just sit here and listen to me work right now if you want. This will be a hell of an edit.
Hey, hold on for 1 second.
Is that Dylan?
Yeah.
I love you, Dylan.
Hi.
Do you want to do the podcast with Nicole instead?
Nope.
Yes. Yes.
Be a special guest.
This is going in the podcast, but
Okay, well, I'm not recording on my end, so.
well, I am also
Oh,
not
sorry.
recording your end on my end, so
It's okay, go ahead. No.
Yeah.
Sorry, say it again, Dylan.
I'm not recording your end on my end also. So what a coincidence.
Oh, okay. Well, all right, I'm recording now.
All right, let's sync up again. 1,
2.
Okay. Okay, so Negan arrives at Alexandria and says they have 3 minutes to let everyone in. And the last one to apologize gets killed. I wonder what kind of rush if they actually did that. Like what a rush it would have been to not be the last person to, or somebody would be like, "I'll do it. I'll get killed."
Right, or
Somebody would kind of have to accept it.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of panic.
Maybe
with
somebody bitten by a zombie.
that. Yeah. So, but I like Carl taking control. This was a great arc, and it was putting in the direction of the arc they kind of took in the show with Carl taking more of a leadership role that he was seemingly being groomed for.
Right, by his dad for the past 8 years.
Right.
Which makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I was impressed, for sure.
And then we see Carol, Jerry, and Rick passionately driving in separate cars, split up to go to each different place. And they have a good score playing, intense music, and then Jerry gets hit by a car. So
Out
what
of
happened?
nowhere. Which is, not to be a little Nelly here, but, you're driving down a dark place in the apocalypse. You probably would see a dump truck coming at you to T-bone you. But here's the problem. Here's the thing, though. And now there's trees in the road again. Like, this is getting back to the mysterious, all-knowing saviors that plagued us like a season ago.
Right.
Where, my goodness, after like an almost life-ending, debilitating attack, they're now already out chopping down trees and back to
that
their
was a
old
complaint
tricks.
we saw a lot of people, how they were able to plan this, worldwide plan
So fast.
in maybe an hour or so. But perhaps they were working
Right.
on it perhaps it was something they were already working on before they escaped.
Maybe. Maybe that's Eugene too. Who knows?
So Ezekiel finds Jerry's note. And it read, "Your Majesty, had to bounce. We said we'd do it, and we can't flake. I want to be there when we win, and I want you to be there too, man. Deuces, Jerry." They have totally made him a Hurley duplicate.
Oh yeah, in a good way.
The saviors arrive and to where Ezekiel is, and he goes and hides behind a false wall.
Yeah.
And Maggie and Jesus are discussing the savior's surrender. And she's like, they just have to run out of food, water, choices. And they're basically saying, hey, they're not going to surrender yet, but would you? And he's like, I guess you're right. And then she's like, once she sees the trees in the road, she knows they're in trouble because it's the same thing they did before when they killed Glenn.
I mean, she should be having some serious PTSD seeing a tree in the road like that.
So, okay, this is another thing that a lot of people complained about. Well, the plan was to get Rick, Ezekiel, and the widow.
Right.
The king, Rick, and the widow. It should be the sheriff, the king, and the widow, but whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And they kill Neil, fan favorite Neil, who had his first line in the show maybe ever before, while they were driving, saying, "You're damn right," or something like that.
Right. They gave him that nice line. I mean, they could have killed like a Tobin or something here to give
Right.
us a little bit of a tinge. I know, but still.
Although, man, Tobin is a disappointing character these days.
Right,
That guy
well,
used to F, and now look at him.
He banged Carol over a few episodes, and now he's completely relegated to nothing.
I know. He was the biggest character in the show's history.
Yeah.
Hashtag Tobin Fs.
If you went to a
Get that trending, guys.
WalkerCon, if you go to WalkerCon or one of those things, you definitely have to go as Tobin. People were
probably
like,
go
"Oh
as-
wow, it's Tobin." I'll see immediately. You have to shave your mustache though.
Not gonna happen.
Yeah,
All right.
you'd go as what's his name then with the mustache.
This Neil kill was edited and shown so terribly. Why not show him get shot? Did they shoot it and it didn't turn out right? So they're like, all right, we got to edit it and have him get shot without us seeing it,
Right.
and then just have the blood splatter and the dude, and then like, I'm sure most of the people who are watching it. Use your wife as an example. I'm sure she was like, "Who just got shot? Who was that? What just happened?"
Yeah.
Because I was like that. I thought that Jerry had gotten killed for 2 times that I saw it because it was so confusing.
That was heartbreaking. Jerry had died just like that.
I know. It was my biggest. It was like the worst decision. Killing Jerry. Get freaking killing Carl. Killing
Yeah.
Jerry. But they
What
didn't.
did Simon
and-
call him? Like your big jolly friend or your nice friend, or he immediately referred to him as, a lovable galoot that we love him for too.
Yes. And for some reason they had him shoot and we didn't say who he shot. And then Neil's head there to the side and blood splatter on the back. Why do that? Why did you do that? Why did you do that? Why didn't you show him get shot in the head?
Mm-hmm.
Whatever.
It's confusing. Plus, when Simon goes into his little spiel, remember, they don't know that Maggie's pregnant. And I think that's kind of a good thing, because if they did, maybe they would lord that over her.
Well, she's
use that
already
to
been pregnant
advantage.
long enough to have had 4 babies by now, but yeah.
That's true. That's true.
I guess, I mean, what's the advantage of them not having her pregnant now now it's been 2 full seasons without showing?
I don't know.
Is it because she couldn't deal with being the leader and dealing with all this stuff if she's a pregnant lady? That wouldn't work for the show. They want to have the
I
time
don't
jump
get it.
and then have
I don't
her
know.
not even dealing with the pregnancy.
She just has the baby.
I guess.
I'm
I
not
don't
sure.
know. I just don't know why they don't want to show this. Do they want it to seem like it's been less than a month or 2 since? No, I mean, it was half a season that they were together before Glenn even got killed. So they want it to seem like they've been dealing with Negan now for a month and a half. At what point don't you start showing it 3 months?
Yeah. It
A little bit?
depends. It really depends. Every woman's different. But I would expect her to. And plus, she doesn't have maternity clothes. So a lot of the clothes she'd be wearing would just have to be sort of like larger. Look, I don't know, man. It's weird. I don't get it.
My point is that now, because it was a half a season before Glenn even got killed, and then they've been dealing with Negan now for then what, 2 months? That's it. Like
That's true.
it seems like it's been 2 years for us,
right? And it
yeah.
hasn't been that long for them. It's hard as a watcher to distinguish the real time in the show.
Right. Because also Carl's almost 18 now, and he was 11 when the show started. Anyway, so yeah, it's so they let Maggie go. For some reason, she doesn't have to get captured, even though that was the original plan. Carl devises a plan basically where he distracts Negan talking to him, and then I like to see him packing smoke grenades and him saying, "This is my show," and everybody listening to him. Gavin at the Kingdom, they just need to turn over Ezekiel and no one else gets killed, which is a different plan than Simon has with Maggie for some reason. That's fine. And then he borderline pleads with them. Come on, guys, there's kids here. I like how they don't make us hate Gavin.
No, he's clearly the guy who in a different situation would have probably made different choices.
Right.
Which is good. We need more saviors like him, so
Right.
we don't think everyone is a psychopath.
Right. And the Kingdom gives 100% now, and the Savior is going to move there, while the Kingdom workers go there to repair what's done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which is not surprising to hear. Which you would think they would like to move into these communities, a la Alexandria, until they torch it to the ground. But whatever.
Duked that.
Yeah.
So they plan on stringing. Oh yeah, after Carol arrives to help, Ezekiel goes and turns himself in and locks the door behind him, and he gets immediately punched in the face.
Yeah, very cavalier.
And then they plan on stringing him up against the fence of the sanctuary, even though they're not going to live at the sanctuary anymore.
Well,
Then
one
we see
day.
Morgan overhearing it. That's his only appearance in the episode, which is kind of weird, also. But
So weird because, because I thought he was going to rescue him. I thought the
he might.
cheesemaker
He might.
was, well, and maybe he will in season 0.2 or whatever the hell. But yeah, maybe
season 8B.
8B.
And also I like Ezekiel having this kind of fearless look.
And yet I smiled. He smiled again.
And yet I love Carl fearlessly talking to Negan, saying, "Kill me." And he's like, "You want to die?" And he's like, "No, I don't want to, but I will. It's going to happen. If
That
me dying
acting
can stop
between
this."
him. Sorry, I just stepped all over your quote.
No,
Thought
go
you were
ahead.
done.
He says, "If me dying can stop this and it'll make things different, then I'll do it."
I believed him too. I mean, I obviously at the point, and you didn't know. See, watching this, I assumed he died in the comics because why not? So for me watching it and knowing he wasn't dying, I thought, wow, really brave of Carl, and great acting by the guy who plays Negan too, because you could see all over his face. Yeah, he has a relationship with Carl from their little rendezvous. He never had any kids, and I will give Negan credit that he does like to take prisoners and sort of break them down, turn them around. He really does. And he really wanted to do that with Carl. And that entire scene, you could see the look on Negan's face. He was almost proud in a way, or at least impressed, very impressed. Because remember, what was the piece of shit guy that he disemboweled? The pussy guy who was trying to bang Rosita. The son of...
Oh, yeah. Of Deanna.
What was that? Yeah, what was that idiot's name?
I don't remember his name.
He was such a bitch that Negan doesn't like that. He doesn't like guys like Gregory, but a guy like Carl and his bravery, boom, you're right at the top of Negan's list.
So, yeah, I don't know. I do love their relationship and him seeming to have a caring, and wanting to recruit him. He talks about that when he's fighting with Rick. Just then, Daryl and co busted the fence, and Dwight sends the saviors after them that are there, and Negan starts ordering grenade launchers over the fence and starts dusting the whole area. I do like him feeling like he was betrayed. He was like, "I thought we were having a heart-to-heart, you son of a bitch."
Right.
And then he leaves a trail. Carl has pretty much a trail of smoke grenades behind him, covering his tracks. And then he's able to sneakily get into the sewer after Negan tasks everyone with after him.
And this scene was odd too, because I guess he sort of fell, which is why we thought he was limping, and maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. There was a lot of cat and mouse that we didn't need. I think we all knew you're going in the sewer, duh. And then of course that's where he ended up.
So Eugene, we get a little Eugene in this episode. He's having some wine, and he's having some serious guilt.
Shot glasses of wine, by the way.
And then he goes and plays matchmaker with Gabriel and Dr. Carson and says what they do with is none of his beeswax.
Right, yeah. Oops, I dropped these keys to a brand new Chevy.
I don't get the reference.
He drops the keys.
Okay. Never mind.
Yeah,
I thought you were doing a country song or something like that. I don't know.
No, that's very, very bad, Eugene. Sorry.
That sounds like a country song, though.
You're right.
I dropped my keys to my 97 Chevy.
Right. I said a brand new Chevy, but either way.
I know, but 97 Chevy sounds more like a country song anyway.
You're right. And even older, 65 Chevy.
I like 97 because it's not like, hey, it's old and it's a classic. It's old because I don't have a new car.
Yeah, but that could be like a Suburban, a 97, Tony Soprano Suburban.
Yeah, but when you have right now, if you had a car that was from 97, it wouldn't be a classic. It would probably be like, hey, this is my car because I don't have a newer.
That's true.
So that's why that's what we think of country music. I got a barbecue stand in my white T-shirt.
Killing me in that mini skirt. Dylan, please move on.
I'm getting drunk on a plane. Have you heard that one?
Yes, I have.
Okay.
Please.
So please. So the roadblock made by Daryl, Tara, Michonne, and Rosita, Dwight leads them right to it. And then while standing cover, he eventually turns his gun on his own guys and kills all of them. See, this would be much harder than it seems. His issues with Negan, and maybe a person or two, but one of those guys had to be his friend.
100%.
And I wish they spent some time on this.
Right. You
Like-
make him more tortured. about
Right.
it.
More tortured about and split. But do I kill my friends and choose the right side or whatever. He takes a bullet from the girl with the tattoo on his neck, and before I thought she got killed, but it didn't show like her bullet blast out the side or like out the back of her skull. So who knows? She could have been like knocked out from her situation. I have no idea.
Yeah, me too. Because
We should be clear on this, but we're not. Yeah, because the show is only showing us what it wants to, and it's really not capturing the mise en scène of the situation the way it should be. But anyway, so they're like, how'd they get out? And he's like, well, first he said, I made sure you guys could escape. I drove the convoy up to the roadblock, and I officially can't go back. And he's like, how'd they get out? Eugene.
Yeah. I can tell you right now, 100% why I know this girl is alive, because Dwight says to them, a woman saw me, a girl saw me. Like, he could go back now. There is no reason. If everybody was dead but him, he would be able to go back and say, hey, everyone.
Dude, she didn't run away. So if she survived, she's still there next to him because she fell to the ground.
I think she got away. And I think he mentioned that his cover's blown because a woman saw him, which implies that she got away. Either way, whatever. Who cares?
The girl with the tattoo on her neck 100% fell to the ground, but I don't know if she's dead. It didn't show who shot her or if she had been shot necessarily or what the hell happened. But I also think that he also was afraid because of Eugene. So are you sure he said woman?
I'm 90% sure.
Because he could think that remember he suspected that Eugene was about to rat him out, which it was.
Yeah, maybe. Either way,
Anyway.
yeah, you're right.
So he says, I still want Negan to die. I can help you. I know how he thinks. And they spare him and head back to Alexandria. And they crawl through the sewers. And they see Alexandria is done. It's demolished.
And real fast, Daryl grabs his vest back, his angel wing vest, which I thought was pretty cool. You thought maybe he was going to shoot him or grab him, or will they, won't they? Because remember, Tara and Daryl really want to see Dwight dead. And I thought maybe they're going to do him in right now, but no, they kept him alive, which was, I think, a smart move on their part.
And then Michonne doesn't go in. She doesn't go into this.
Yeah, which is kind of odd. Did you think she was doing that to try to rescue Carl?
Right.
Yeah.
And she just kind of went God mode in there. So Maggie heads back to the hilltop and takes that asshole savior, pulls him out. And the other guy, his name's Al, I guess, says, Maggie, you don't want to do this. And the guy's like, shut up, Al. She wants to put on a show, let her put on a show. And she just shoots him dead right there. That was awesome.
Now, that guy, I expect her to pull out the long-haired dick, not the short-haired dick.
Right. Either way, they're both dicks. This guy was fucking with her more.
Mm-hmm. Boom.
And it's like, you want to be next? And he's like, no. And I like how Gregory's trying to weasel his way out. He gets out, not us.
Yeah, what a baby.
And she's like, we aren't even, but that's a start. And then she starts fortifying the place for a last stand and walks away crying. She takes the coffin and puts his body in it and writes on it, we have 38 more, stand down.
And see, I like that they showed her crying, because that's the kind of complicated back and forth that we want on these guys.
Agree.
Even Negan, that scene with him and Carl where he showed some emotion was nice to see in a guy who's sort of like one emotion these days. It's layered, it's complex, and it's good.
Completely agree. And it makes them people and not,
cartoon characters.
Cartoon characters, right. Rick sneaks into Alexandria and has a standoff with Negan. I like him saying, do you ever shut the hell up?
Right. And he said, no.
And he says he's going to make Carl one of his top guys in a couple of years. And Rick gets the best of him and then hits him with the non-spiked end of Lucille.
I know.
This is what people are really unloading about on our Twitter. Like, we got... To go along with ours, we're not going to be watching the show anymore that we've gotten.
Yeah. That was it. That's what made people like, that's the straw that broke it.
I mean, guys, we got really ripped about it. Like, really, like, I mean, not us personally, but, the most response we got, and we got everything negative. We didn't get anything positive. And it was a lot of it had to do with this. You had him. Why did you do that?
Yeah, you mean the emails we got about
Right.
the show were people angry about
Right.
this part on the show? Yeah, it's frustrating. I mean, this is some sort of like James Bond laser at your dick and then you escape baloney where there's just no reason for him to have not killed Negan in that
Right.
moment.
And then a guy grabs Michonne and says they're all dead, and it has like this rapey vibe to him.
Yeah, that was kind of
And
odd.
big mistake because she slices him the fuck up.
Yeah. Spoiler alert. That's my kill of the week, dog. That was I mean, it's kind of maybe the only kill in the entire damn episode besides the no-namers and Neil. But yeah, that was a fun little scene.
And then Rick gets her, and she leads him to the sewers. And the sewers, most of them are alive. We get a little montage of all the characters and the situations they're in. Sadiq is down there, and that's cool. So then we understand.
Can I
'cause
stop you
I
real
didn't know
fast?
what the hell was up with Sadiq the whole time. I know that he was sneaking stuff from the sewer, but I don't know if he was sneaking through the sewers to wherever Sadiq was. But no, Sadiq was actually hiding in the sewer.
Can I say something real fast? When Rick and Michonne see each other,
Michonne.
that should be Michonne. That should be
Meh.
a huge Michonne. When Rick and Michonne see each other,
Rick and
that should have
Michonne.
been when Rick and that lady saw each other. It should have been a much more, not a reunion of sorts,
Right.
but I think that's one thing the show struggles with is their relationship, and it's usually like they should have either been crying or happy or oh my god, our home is killed, Negan is back, like this is scary.
I don't
But they
disagree.
they were just like buds who saw each other and were like, all right, let's get out of here, guy. Found you, great. Moving on, and then maybe they're in shock, whatever. But I think that was a failed moment where we could have had a nice little reunion between the two of them because I do think the show has done a poor job with their relationship, unlike with Glenn and Maggie, and I don't know. It's a missed opportunity. But you're right. So do you think this entire time Sadiq has been living under Alexandria even when Carl found him weeks ago?
No.
So you think Carl found him, brought him in, and then he sort of made Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle
For like
style.
this day. For like this day. It's been like a day, as far as we know.
Right. And there's lamps down there, and I think I saw an Xbox One. It's pretty well acquainted.
And yeah, and like we said, Carl's been bit. Maggie and Rick both react to it, and then the camera pans out, and that's it till February 25th.
And when Carl was sitting there too, he was so still. I thought he died already. The first time I saw him, I thought, why is he sitting so damn still? Oh, goodness. Why is there gauze? Oh, my God. He was already bit already? Yeah.
What a great performance from Andrew Lincoln and Chandler Riggs in this episode. And the actress who plays Michonne did a really good job in this episode.
Yeah, that's true. And Jeffrey Dean Morgan.
This was the last character other than actually Lenny James, who is Morgan. Actually, never mind. He was alive in the pilot. But other than that, as far as pilot characters go, because I think Daryl got his introduction in the second episode.
Okay, so just Carol, Morgan.
And Carol also in the second episode. So I think as far as from the pilot episode goes, it was Morgan, Glenn, Carl, and Rick were the only ones left over recently. So obviously Glenn got killed, and now it's just Morgan and Rick. As far as the first season goes, we do have
Carol and
Daryl also.
Gotcha.
So there's still a lot of people that have survived the show for so long.
It is, yeah, boy.
Michonne didn't join till the third season.
Has Michonne been on that long? Okay, wow. Michonne. You know, in the off season, I will just practice that.
You're still gonna mess up.
I will. I'm sorry.
Let's get into the segments.
Yeah.
All right, segments. We go over our awards for the episode. Let's get to the first one, which is the worst decision. It's from the showrunner's perspective. Obviously, bad. A lot of people think it's a bad decision to kill Carl the way they did. I'm not saying that that's necessarily the case. This is the biggest departure from the graphic novel ever. But let's see how it plays out. It might tell. I don't have faith that you're going to do it interesting, but we'll see. You know, you want to keep it fresh and you have your reasons for it, and that's fine. I think the worst decision was the way they did. From filmmaking perspective, was the shot Neil getting killed. It was funny.
weird.
It was borderline funny how they did it. It belonged in the
Mhm.
room, not on The Walking Dead.
Right. Yeah, I agree. And I agree too, knowing that Carl is in the book and not not in the show, that is a big mistake. Otherwise, I put Enid shooting the grandma
Bad
leader
decision.
because that's just, I mean, the dominoes are going to have to fall on that one. That was no bueno.
Let's get the next
No
one,
bueno.
which is the best kill.
Yeah, I already ruined mine. What's yours, Neil?
Maggie killing that asshole savior. That was awesome.
Not as awesome as the lady with the sword, how she did it with that like backstab. That was great.
Into the eye.
Yeah, and then she just, like you said, God mode, IDKFA. Or no, God mode was IDDQD. Feel me on that? You
Nope.
catching that reference?
No idea.
No? Oh, anybody at home pumped right now on those references? Doom. That was the keystrokes that you would type into Doom back in the old PC day. It's people will get it. Don't worry.
So yeah, but Maggie just interrupting him. Oh, she wants to put on a show. Go ahead, and then takes a bullet in the face. Was awesome. Fuck that dude. Let's get the next one, which is the best line of the week.
What you got? You want to go first?
Yeah, mine actually was. I don't think it technically counts as a line.
No, what is it?
It is Jerry's note
Oh,
that he left. Your
let it
Majesty
go.
had to bounce. We said we'll do it and we can't flake. I want to be there when we end, and I want you to be there too, man. Deuces.
yeah, that counts.
Sure.
I'll let it go.
What's
Mine
yours?
was the whole thing I mentioned about Carl and Negan, where, he's kill me. And then you said,
Yeah,
I
that
thought
was awesome.
we're having a moment, you little
Right.
asshole.
Yeah.
That made me laugh.
And be like, you want to
it
die?
was good.
You want to die?
Yeah. Yeah.
Almost with
That whole scene
concern.
was great. Right. Yeah. Concern. That's a good word to describe it.
Next one's the tweet. No, I'm sorry. The prediction of the week.
It's tough for you, probably. No.
No, not really. I mean, I'm going to predict that Morgan is going to save Ezekiel right now, and Gavin's a goner. Gavin's a
That's a good one. I have sort of a vaguer one and a bigger one. Like, I think I'd like to see Maggie be the one that kills Negan. I think after her cold blood killing of that one guy, which, okay, fine, an eye for an eye, maybe after killing Neil, I think they're setting her up to maybe go a little crazy. Maybe she goes so crazy she ends up having a miscarriage from the stress or something. But I could see, I'd like to see her, and I predict maybe she'll be, someone's gonna have to kill Negan, and maybe Rick would be the most rewarding. But see, now the thing is, Negan could have potentially killed Carl, and then there'd be like some major revenge killing. But Carl got killed by a friggin' zombie. So now killing Negan, yes, he killed lots of people. Maybe Maggie is the person because Negan killed Glenn. That would be the most rewarding to see kill Negan. So just a bigger, who knows when this could happen? 8 episodes from now, but maybe Maggie will be the one that kills Negan.
Let's get into the last one. It's the tweet of the week. We didn't get a lot of positive tweets right now, and I figured we'd capture enough of the negativity. But I just wanted to, I guess this is actually more negativity, but I wanted to read
But it's funny.
the response from Chandler Riggs' father. That he was willing to do this publicly, too, is shocking.
It's deleted now, but yes, he
Right.
did.
The person said, "What do you think, Dad?" And he responded, "Watching Gimple fire my son 2 weeks before his 18th birthday after telling him they wanted him for the next 3 years was disappointing. I never trusted Gimple or AMC, but Chandler did. I know how much it hurt him. But we absolutely know how lucky we have been to been a part of it all and appreciate all the love from all the fans for all these years."
Yeah. I mean, hot-headed dad who's protective of his son. But you know what? Fine. If your son's a good actor, he'll find other work. He'll make it work. But, that'd be
I
funny.
think he was in there and he was like, "You know what? My son's 18 now. He doesn't have to answer for me anymore."
That's true.
Yeah, I don't think this is something he'd do if he was under 18 because his father would have to be involved in everything. That's probably moving out and going to make his own career. And I'm sure, I don't think this is going to hurt him too much as an actor, especially
No.
because he's handled it with nothing but grace.
Yeah, he'll be fine.
but
Nope.
he's definitely sad. And you know who else was another young actor that was on the show that handled it very obvious that they were sad? Was
Beth?
Beth.
Yeah.
Right? Beth cried
She, I
on.
mean-
She teared up on The Walking Dead talking about it. Guess what? Guess who they didn't have on The Talking Dead last night?
Carl?
Chandler Riggs. He wasn't on it. Wonder freaking why. Right? Like, he's bummed.
'Cause-
And he was told otherwise, and they went off of they fired him, and they went off of the original source material more than they ever have. And how could you not think I did something wrong?
It's
How
odd.
could you not take it personally?
Yeah, it really is. I wonder if they just really want to zig instead of zag. I mean, Daryl is probably the biggest because Daryl's not even in the graphic novel.
We
but
almost
you're right.
wanted it to be Daryl, right?
I know, in an odd way. Daryl sacrificing himself to kill Negan or something would have been like a hero's goodbye. Like him getting
And
bit
you've
by a
talked
zombie
about
is whatever.
potential of Negan dying so many times.
Who,
That's
me?
like your most, yeah. It's like that's what your prediction every week is. This person's gonna kill Negan. This person's gonna kill Negan.
It's
And I'm
my
not saying this is a
wish.
bad thing for you. I'm just saying this is like how long are viewers gonna feel like this?
I've wanted Negan to die for a season and a half now. I'm ready to move on into another character, another villain, a new governor, new plans. Maybe they start to fight zombies again. But what about that helicopter that flew over? Maybe the government becomes sort of the bad people and they're fighting them now. Like I'm ready. And I'm sorry if that makes me a Debbie Downer. Then fine.
No. My point was that
still.
this is the way that a viewer is thinking, right? Like
I'm a humble viewer, Dylan.
You're a humble,
Correct.
humble viewer, humble man. All right, guys, that brings an end to Dead Inside Show, the mid-season finale. This is not, no matter what, this is not the last episode of Dead Inside Show. I think as of now we have plans to continue it, but we do want to hear from you guys and see what people are thinking, because we need, I don't know, we need a little feedback for how we're gonna go, and you know, things like that, you know, great listener Cody sent in, appreciated it, and want to hear what other people think too. So we don't think that Cody's opinion is the only one that's flying. So let's hear from everybody. Let's have a nice little cooling off period for a couple months. Let's get back to the show fresh in February and see where we go from there. How's it sound?
Yeah, that sounds great to me, my friend.
All right. Why don't you tell people where they can follow you on the internet, Dan Fields, and like say they want to listen to more of you, like in the off season. They haven't heard enough of you. They want to hear you talk about other things like your balls and stuff.
When I first started my podcast, I don't know, 5 years ago, I did the whole season 1, episode 1 bullshit. And then I think after like the 4th one, I said, well, this isn't a season. What am I doing? And I got rid of that. But yes, my show continues. There is no break. There is no off season. SaveItForTheShow.com. Please come check it out. The show is fun and silly, real silly show. And I do appreciate anyone that listens to both of these shows. It does mean a lot. And you are in a fantasy football league with me and the listeners of my show.
Not anymore.
And you lost. I know Lisa just destroyed you
So it worked me
this week.
I mean,
so
I also lost
sorry.
bad. I didn't even break 100 points.
No, that's pretty bad, yeah.
And
She
I
got
was like, oh man,
180
if I
or
made other
something.
decisions because I had people with higher scores, I was like, well, if I put them in there, there's nothing I could do because she had a killer freaking score, so there's nothing I could do. Bye bye me.
Oh, and by the way, shout out to, speaking of people that listen to both shows, shout out to Blart, who is listening in the chat room and does play in a fantasy football league with Save for the Show. So he said, please continue the show in the chat room. We're not saying we're going to quit the show. We're finishing it, at least for the season, and then we'll figure out what we're going to do. So
Agreed.
there's our spoiler, or I'm sorry, our mid-season cliffhanger.
Agreed. But yeah, it's his show's a good show to listen to, and it's a great one to fill in the blanks. So make sure to check it out. Shout out to Blart. And is that your the name you were given when you were born, or is it like a screen name type of thing, like Neo from the Matrix?
It's a screen name. Yeah.
Interesting.
He's in the live chat, and I think that's his real
I see
name
him, I
that
see
he's
him.
posting on, so I won't say that.
All right. So for me, you can follow me at Shuckster. That's SCHUCKSTER. The Watch and Talk, my movie review podcast. Last week we just did a very in-depth review of The Room and The Disaster Artist. We discussed them both. We talked about them, the greatest bad movie of all time, And we even discussed like what makes a bad movie, because that movie is so bad, but I've watched it more than I've seen most movies. So what makes a bad movie a bad movie? If it's more rewatchable for me, if I like watching it more than Schindler's List, we have that kind of conversation. It's a conversation. Check that out if you want to listen to our The Room retrospective.
Hey, real fast, you need to listen to last week. James Franco was on Howard Stern with Tommy Wiseau, and it was great.
I'll check it out.
Fantastic interview.
And then for next week, this upcoming week, coming up in here a couple days, we're doing a review of the new Star Wars movie, Last Jedi. It's a huge episode. We're going to be talking about a lot of things, talking about Star Wars in general, and having a great in-depth conversation about it. So you don't want to miss that, even if you don't watch Star Wars, which is anybody that hasn't seen it by the time the review comes out, it'll be non-spoiler at the beginning and then spoiler at the end, so you can still listen. But come on, guys, you're going to see Star Wars. Let's face it. Dan's even probably going to go see Star Wars. You going to see Star Wars in the theater?
Even me. Of course I am. Even old Dan's going to get his fat ass out.
Danster. So check that out at thewatchandtalk.com. We'd love to have you guys, as many people from this show, come over there as you can and check that out and let us know what you think. For the show, you can follow us at Dead Inside Show on Twitter. Email us deadsideshow@gmail.com. Facebook.com/thewatchandtalk. And our website is deadinsideshow.com. And that's it. I'm Dylan Shuck.
And I'm Dan Fields.
And we'll see you next week. No, we'll see you
next year.
And we'll see you next year.
All right,
people.
Yeah, what's up, Blart?
Thank you, Blart. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Danster. Send it over. I'll get it out.
Okay, sounds good, buddy.
All right, big dog.
And let's catch up in January, and we'll figure out what we want to do.
All right, man.
All right, man. Take care.